program inaisha saa 6. Program inaanza saa 6.
We are raising the media on the petition of the PSS we are challenging.
So on the 2nd day of November 2022, the President of the Republic of Kenya made an announcement on the principal secretaries he has nominated. The President is empowered under the Constitution Article 155 to make nominations to the positions of the principal secretaries to various cabinet positions. In making those nominations, there are some guidelines that ought to be adhered to in lines with exercise of his executive powers. Being the symbol of national unity, he is bound by Article 10 of the Constitution to ensure that he adheres to the principles of good governance. These principles include inclusivity, diversity, promoting the representation of all the marginalized groups, and also ensuring that there is a regional balance for the positions that are created constitutionally. What we have noted from the list that was submitted, there are some regions that are segregated and not included in their positions. One of those regions is Nyamira County. We have noted with a lot of concern that there is no a single position created in the principal secretaries for Nyamira County. That therefore amounts to discrimination. The Constitution requires that there should be no discrimination, any form of discrimination based on race, color, ethnic inclination, youth, being a youth, and also the marginalized. So we have challenged the nominations, and our prayer to the court is that let there be inclusivity of all the individuals being mentioned. Let there be a representation of at least all the counties, so that once those positions are approved by the National Assembly, those persons nominated becomes the public officers. They will be, in essence, serving all the citizens of Kenya. What will happen then to those who are not included? Kenya as a nation, we uphold and we accommodate and we appreciate the position of a democracy, which is a representative form of democracy that we have in Kenya. Representatives represents the concerns of the citizens at the grassroots. When there is no representative from your region, who will voice your concerns? Those are the questions we are asking, and we are challenging the nominations, and our prayer is let there be inclusivity. The third gender principle, the youth, the marginalized, the people living with disability, the Constitution recognizes them and as a group that ought to be recognized and to be factored when a public officer, including but not limited to the president, are making public nominations or public or national nominations or selections. So those are our concerns. We are asking the president, being the person who propagates the rule of law, the constitutionalism, let him adhere to it. Let him ensure that there is gender balance, there is regional balance, there is ethnic balance, and there is also the question of the marginalized, the question of the youth. Let there be a balance in the nominations that he is going to put forth before the National Assembly for vetting and for the approval. Thank you.
That was shared to the public on the 2nd day of November 2022 by His Excellency, the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. So what is at the heart of the constitutional concern that we have presented before court is that there are concerns that the list that has been, or that was shared, and the nominees that are supposed to undergo the process of vetting beginning the 14th day of November, that list does not augur well with the current constitutional dispensation. We begin first by understanding that the position that the current president, Dr. Samoei William Ruto, holds is a position that is created by the Constitution. So that as an office bearer of an office created by the Constitution, he is expected by law to act in the manner that the law suggests. The law anticipates that all public or, these national appointments must reflect first the image of Kenya. We have over and about, 45 tribes, if you want to mention. So that we expect that at the very least, when a list of this nature is proposed, then we need to have an ethnic balance in our country. We do not want a situation where we have some certain tribes or certain ethnic communities that are given more privileges, probably because of the huge numbers of the electorates from those regions. But what is expected in law is that these appointments must reflect the image of Kenya. And secondly, when we mention people with disability, when we want to mention inclusivity as a principle that the Constitution has propagated or rather has decreed, then at the very least we expect, and this is what we expected even from the list of the CS nominees or the CS that we have, is that at the very least we should also have an inclusion of people with disability. From the list that has been shared, is that we do not have people with disability in those lists, in either people serving as the cabinet secretaries and those that have now been nominated to serve as principal secretaries. So that is what we find to be a little uncomfortable and to be off the constitutional dispensation. So to that extent, we have requested the court that the process that begins on the 14th day of November should at the present be stopped to pave way for the interrogation of the constitutional concerns that have been raised in the petition. So I will yield the floor to my senior, Mr. Danstan Omari, to ventilate more on the constitutional concerns that we have called upon the court to help us in addressing. Thank you.
Applications being sought by the Public Service Commission. Once the Public Service Commission interviews these people, the names are forwarded to the President and the President nominates. There is no statutory requirement for the numbers. The President, in his wisdom, has nominated 51 Kenyans for those positions. The law and the Constitution provides that they should be taken to Parliament for vetting. The rationale for Parliament to vet is based on the point that those are the people's representatives in Parliament. From previous record of the CSs, we completely, as Kenyans, saw that there was no vetting. Parliament became a conveyor belt. All the names that went to Parliament for CSs passed through. This is the second list going to Parliament. And we have been instructed that because Kenyans have no faith in Parliament, because the President controls the terrain of numbers in Parliament, we move to the judiciary so that we challenge and stop the names from being dealt with in Parliament. And that is why we have gone to court to challenge those names, because they do not meet the constitutional threshold that is required for those positions. What are these constitutional thresholds? The face of the Republic. Ethnicity based on the face of the Republic is purely the angle that there are 44 tribes in this country. The President has created 51 positions for principal secretaries. Therefore, it is prudent that each tribe, the 44 tribes get one. Each tribe gets one. The President remains with 7 more. He can allocate it to other people, because other tribes, this is the only chance they have to fill the national cake. Of great concern, the President has decided that 27 cabinet PSs come from 2 ethnic communities. But if you look at the mischief there, all these people have been allocated a county. Akisi, who is from Mombasa, is given a position of a PS. and it is said Mombasa County is represented. Akisi in Kwale is given the same position. Then they say Kwale County has been represented. Akisi in Trans Nzoia has been allocated, and we are told the county of Trans Nzoia has been represented. Akisi, who is in Isiolo, is given that post. So we have 13, we have 27 people who represent 2 ethnic communities but spread out in every county. The question we are asking is the core of our ethnic communities not having sufficient professionals to get those positions. That is why we have been instructed to challenge this, and we have demanded from Public Service Commission and the National Cohesion Commission the ethnic question of the people who have been appointed. 2, we have seen still the question of nepotism. A member of parliament from Kirinyaga has nominated 2 of the sisters to be MCS, not in Kirinyaga. Then a wife becomes a nominee for the PS's position. That is why the people in Kirinyaga are asking, is there no any lady fit from Kirinyaga to take that position? So we are raising very fundamental questions that there is no ethnic balance in the nominees. Number 2, there is no gender balance in those nominations. 3, there is no inclusivity, and especially from the county of Nyamira, where I come from. Nobody is there. What Kenyans want is that the president got votes the whole country. He had members, he had people who campaigned for him from Wajir. Let them be appointed principal secretaries. He had people who campaigned for him from Nyamira County. Let them be given those positions. Unless none of those counties have graduates. They have enough graduates, they have enough technocrats. So we are seeking orders to stop the names from going to parliament until the question of inclusivity is dealt out with it. The reason as to why the president raised the number of these positions from Uhuru Kenyatta's 41 to 51 under the bottom approach, we thought that it is to include at least every tribe in the decision-making positions. Other tribes will sit in cabinet and will sit in the PS's position. Those are the only 2 functional positions in government. The others are mere clerks. So other tribes are going to be told, you are an ambassador. Really, what do you effect on resource on the national cake? Other tribes are going to be told, we are going to appoint you an area sub-chief. How does it affect on the national distribution of the national cake? So we are appealing that we are ready to defend this thing in the judiciary, and the president be put on notice that he is no longer the president of the select few. He's a national president, he's a national government, and elections are over. Let every Kenyan feel inclusive in this government. That's their question. Frederick Bikeri has instructed us.
And given that there is this behavior of the executive not obeying court orders, so do you think you will be doing an exercise in the future?
What happened to Jacob Zuma for him refusing to comply with court orders? Our job is to get the court orders. If the executive decides not to follow the court orders, the country does not go away. We know that court orders must be complied. His Excellency has said he will comply with court orders. So for us, our role is to represent our client and get those court orders. All right.